Hello, friends. I'm Daniel Skyline, and I'm driving my pickup truck here in Motortown. Take the wheel, and I'm flipping. Just come on, son. Come on, rip it. So, Motortown, as you can probably imagine, is a game about motoring in a town, and there's a variety of different jobs. You can play it single player, you can play it multiplayer, you can host it up and invite your friends and all of that kind of caper. But I'm just I'm single playering here right now, and I'm going to take a quick delivery job. You'll do me, well, what are we looking at? 390 quid to go. Ooh, 1,500 quid. Take it. Yeah, done deal. Super job. Right, 1,500 quid's worth of beer. Sweet. Now I've got a pickup truck in sport mode at the moment. I've got my hazard lights on. Let's turn them off. Turn my lights off as well. Thank you. And the sat nav's plumbed in where I'm going. And what I'm trying to do is make a bit of cash to buy vehicles, because at the moment when I complete a job, I have to give a cut to the owner of the vehicle, which is a little bit disappointing. Oh, I've leveled up. That's nice for me. But experience is all important, because there are a multitude of different jobs. It's not just about bootlegging beer all over the place coming through. There's a variety of different ways you can do things, and arguably this is not the best of it. No, you can drive delivery jobs, and at the moment I'm only qualified to drive the pickup truck at the moment. I haven't migrated to the chunky flatbed there, or a big rig, or anything along those lines. You can drive a taxi, ferry passengers around. You can pick up hitchhikers. You can drive the ambulance. You can what else can you do? You can be the police. It's nice. You could be a nice tow truck driver. Yeah, no, sorry, I wanted a nice angle there. So I should be concentrating on what I'm doing, so I will. Yeah, no, it's largely up to you what you do with yourself, and that's super. But you're fundamentally in the market to make a little bit more experience and some money to do bigger and better things with the things that you're doing bigger and better. There's a racetrack down there for those of you so inclined. Every vehicle comes with the option to switch between sport mode, which is what I'm in now, or the fast one, and then you have comfort mode, or the slow one, or you have drift mode, which is the slippery one. I like to go. The engine's overheating. Yeah, I know, it's because I've had it in sport mode too long. Yeah, I'll be all right. It's not my truck, so I'm not that fussed. Ultimately, it's all good. Anyway, I'm going to go. I'll go make this delivery, and then we'll try something else on, shall we? Try a different hat. Okay, so that's gone. That's gone quite poorly. Oh no! There you go. Flip it back round. I reckon the beer's probably all right. I took that corner a little bit aggressively. That was a problem. Right? Can I? How do I pick that up? Maybe I have to get out and pick it up. All right. Car still seems to be moving. Grab that. Yep. Cargo. Nice. Oh, super. I hadn't anticipated. All right, yeah, maybe I should have put a handbrake on. I know, yeah, that's okay. Mistakes were made. We'll learn from those, and everything will be better in the future. Let's toddle on. Yeah, away we toddle. It's super. Anyway, here we are in Jeju. I believe that's what it's called, and that's what I'm calling it. So there it is. Not too far to go now. That'd be nice. I thought it was a little antique number pickup truck. I might give that a go and see how the handling characteristics are different. Now, you may notice me arguably struggling a little with the controls. I'm not. No, that's the controls struggling with me. There's a difference, and it's all fine. The handling of the vehicles is actually pretty strong, and they all behave in their own perfect way. Let's stick it in drift mode and see what we can accomplish with that. We should be able to manage a relatively good top speed, but then I can do all kinds of action. I am Need for Speed. Was that worth it? No. All right, then you can put it in comfort mode. Yeah, that's good, isn't it? Yeah, that's good. You can go for the autopilot, which comes in two modes. You've got the first one, which is just cruise control, and the second one, which will actually just drive the entire vehicle for you. Although this particular vehicle now appears to be lost. No, stop. No, don't go this way. Where are you going? What manoeuvre is this? It's going to do its best. There you go. Turn it around. I was pointing the wrong... yeah, I was on the wrong side. Oh, you even want to be in the correct lane. Ah, what a genius. And coming up to the junction. Look both ways. Oh, look, there's someone in a little Daihatsu confusion going on there. Well, I'm not sure what happened with the bus, but it got quite it got quite excited. Ah, good. Turn the autopilot off. Take it out of comfort mode. Let's go. Yeah, well, I'm sure those passengers have gone to meet their maker. I'm sure they're having a lovely day. Anyway, as part of setup, you get to choose what the day-night cycle is, and I've got it on 30-minute sequences. So you do 30 minutes of daytime, and then no, you don't. No, every day is 30 minutes. That's the one. Yeah, I understand it. It's 400 metres that way, and the sat-nav's telling me to go the other way. Well, I'm going to go this way. I've played Forza, I know how to get from A to B. You go in a straight line and get a big bonus for knocking over a cactus. Ah, that's good, yeah. Yeah, almost there. Yeah, it's all good. See, look, night is falling. And it's not just because I'm out in the wilderness. Don't dislodge your cargo now. Here we go. Dropping off some illicit bootleg booze at the place that it wants. Oh, they'll sell me a Winnebago for 150 large. Have I got 150 large? No, I've got 4,700 quid. Well, that's better than nothing. Oh yeah, until you get done by the police and they take most of it off you. Right, where am I going next? I want to go find a different job. Well, here we go. I've decided to become a taxi driver for a bit. I've got what I call a police escort at the moment, because I might have sideswiped the officer of the establishment of the law a little bit when I went round the corner. Let's turn the virtual mirror on. I don't know where the virtual mirror is. It doesn't really matter. Anyway, I've just set the fastest speed I've ever been in a bus, which is nice. 114 kilometres per hour. I wonder if he's still there. Do you think he's just going to give up? No, I probably don't. But that's all good. Right, onto the highway. There, he's still there, but I'm going to lose him because my VW camper is capable of quite a lot. Split screen. Yeah. Oh, let's just turn this into a camera view. Nice. Yeah. Why don't you watch where you're going? Where's the fun in that? Look, nice. Huh? Oh yeah. Watch out. Careful. Yep. Yeah. Look, I mean, if you're larking about, you're gonna come unstuck. Anyway, I'm heading out to my bus route. Now, obviously, there are larger buses available. I'm just not qualified to drive any of them. And that's fine. In order to become qualified, all you need to do is drive the bus a bit more, and then you will become qualified. Actually, that police type shield up the top corner there rather suggests that I am evading capture, which is good. Right, let's take this corner aggressively. Oops, sorry there, fellow road user. Perhaps you'd like to get out of the way. Thank you. Sorry, good. We've pretty much shaken them off. Yeah, and if we shake them off, they can't find me. Because if they can't find you, they can't fine you. If I'd have said that the first time, it would have been better. It would have sounded like, poetic and erudite. But it doesn't sound poetic or... Oh, I know the engine's overheating. The engine's always flipping overheating. Alright, got my first passenger on board, which means I am now on the bus route. So we're going to go to the next one, which is only 200 metres away. Solid as you like. I've got a happy passenger on board. I assume they're happy anyway. Well, I'm not really giving them a choice in the matter. I mean, we've all ridden buses, and happy is rarely a sentiment you're going to feel while on one. No, hot, sticky, and confused as to the smell, I would say, is probably the way. And maybe threatened. That's the emotion you're going to feel. All right, all aboard. There you go. They are all aboard. Yep. Anyone else? No? Good. Right, let's crack on. This bus ain't going to drive itself. Now, I could take the road for this one, which is probably the sensible thing to do. But I think we can get there faster by just going in a straight line. I wonder if that's going to penalise me some experience. I would. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Gently does it. Alright, there we go. In here. Kick the doors open. Get out the bus. And then they all cough up as they pay the bus, which is super. Bye-bye. Have a nice evening. Remember to say goodbye to the driver. That's like a law in the UK. I don't know why, but you have to say thank you to the bus driver when you get off the bus. There's no good reason for it. You just do. Flipping hitchhiker. No, get some money. Get a job. Right, we've got to park up in here to do the next one. I'll squeak it in this bit. There we go. Squeaked. Get off the bus. Alright, passengers get off the bus. Passengers get on the bus. I get the money. Ooh, and a good chunk of XP as well. From all the jobs I've done so far, it feels like bus driving is the easiest in terms of speed of making some readies. Oops, truck. And just how straightforward it is to do. There's a very nice little 2-kilometre route that I was driving earlier on. You get round it in a couple of minutes with 4 or 5 stops, and the passengers can just keep paying up all the way through. And I particularly like that the game isn't that bothered about how you do it. There we are. Right, get off the bus. Go on, clear off. Yep. Anyone getting on? Well, you've had your chance. Was that the end of the line? It did rather seem like it was the end of the line. All right, let's go to the next one. Where is the next one? It's 300 metres that way. I'm going to keep it on the road because I'm a professional, and we don't want people to be unduly upset by me not keeping it on the road. No, we want them to feel, welcome and so forth. Anyway, let's turn the lights off because it's daytime. And more or less. Well, which is it? Less. I'll tell you a little story while we're on our way there. This actually, VW camper, was my first car. Yeah, no, I picked one up, and it was in fact this colour, although mine was a Type 2 rather than a split window, so mine had the bay window, but it was turquoise and white, just like this one. This brings back fond memories, although this one's significantly faster than the one I drove. I did get it up over 100 at one point. It only had the standard 1600 in there, but no, I was going down a hill, and I mean, the way you drove your VW camper was basically all the time. You had it floored, just to keep it moving, and that was great. I mean, I think I've told you previously, but you might not have been around, so I'll tell you again, just because I've only got a few anecdotes, and at some point I'll run out of ones you haven't heard before. No, it's yeah, all right. Actually, this is realistic. Yeah. The van would do this on a regular basis. It would just, have a moment to itself there. No, I was taking my friends back from university in my van from Manchester, which is where I went to university, down to East Anglia, which is where I lived, and I was dropping off half a dozen people along the way, and it was about, I don't know, -10, something like that. Oh, appeared to have gone sideways a bit. Never mind. And in the back was all my pals. They were huddled under duvets and all kinds of business. They seemed to be having a rare old time. I was up the front, and it was bitterly cold. Bitterly cold. I had a woolly hat on and an army surplus tank driver's uniform. Well, the tank driver's onesie, you might call it. Yeah. Why? I'd bought it. I did dramatic arts, creative arts was the name of the course that I did, which is all about devising a load of old nonsense. If you're uncertain of the format of such things, imagine half a dozen naked women painted blue throwing themselves at a canvas while a bloke plays an accordion. That's about the size of it. So that's what I did. Obviously, I was more inclined to being one of the half dozen naked blue women, rather than the bloke with the accordion. The accordion not really my jam. Anyway, they're all in the back having a fun time, and for one performance or another, I'd picked up this tank driver's uniform that I was wearing. One may well have suggested that a pair of gloves would have been more useful. Didn't have that, so I was using a cigarette lighter to keep my hands warm. By which I mean I'd flick the lighter on, wave my hand over it until it started to feel a bit burny, and go, that's my hand warmed up. Yeah, turn the lights on. There you go. Put the full beams on. Let's show them who's boss. That's solidly good there. We're in Jangung. Yeah. Watch out, passengers. Whoa. Got to be exciting for them there. Livened their evening up significantly. Anyway, here's the next job. Right. Pile out. Whoops, a daisy. That'll make the news. Right, there we go. Oh, I'll turn my own personal torch on. Quite like the torch just, flutters around in this way. Oh, yeah. I've arrived at my destination. I've arrived at my new job. Right, taxi driving. Now, the exciting thing with taxi driving is it's like driving a bus, but only one passenger at a time. I didn't say it was good. I just said it was, that's the interesting thing. Anyway, here's my first passage. Well, come on in, get in. Where do you want to go? You need to go somewhere. All right. And you require this to be comfortable. Well, we'll see what we can do about that. Now, you've got the comfort meter up in the top right, and therefore you want to keep that in the white as much as possible. Or just kind of go, nah, just hoon it, man. Now, I don't know, but I mean, I've experimented with this, and if you drop the comfort meter to 0, passengers don't seem to give a monkeys. But having not delivered... Yeah, all right. Having not delivered a passenger in any way that could be described as comfortable, I don't know if there's a special bonus for having done so. I imagine there might be, but I don't really care, because this is a more fun way to do it. There's a left coming up. There it is. There you go. Steer in. That's it. Oh, almost held it. Anyway, this is good. There you go. Get out. Super. Profit share goes to the owner of the vehicle. Yeah, it's a rip-off. Really is. What a complete rip-off. All right there, Beardy. Get in. Where are you going? You're going to pay me £1,000 to go 5 clicks. You got it, buddy. Where is the 5 clicks in question? It's just up there. Okay, well, let's not follow the sat-nav then. It's all right, mate. I'm a professional. I know what I'm doing. All right, J-turn. Okay, and we're away. Yeah. I'm fairly certain this is where he's going. Oh, why would it be giving me this waypoint otherwise? He's going to reward me for comfort as well. Or by that, I mean he's probably not going to reward me because it's not going to be that comfortable. Either way, it's all solidly good. There you go. Beautiful. Yeah. Up and squirreling around a little bit. Good. Yeah. Now, I'll point out to him, this is the proposed route for the new highway. See, and therefore I've been commissioned by the Highways Agency to trial it out and see how suitable for vehicles it is now without necessarily laying any road. I'll give him the answer, and it's not really that suitable for vehicles. The disincentive they give you for doing this kind of behaviour is that your wheel spin all over the place and then get stuck. Oh, crumbs. Right. Anyway, there you go. This is as an introduction to you, for you, and possibly by you, into Motor Town. It's available on the Steam, You can go and pick it up with money and play it with your friends. I may even play a little bit more of this if you're inclined to do so. I'll invite a few friends to come along and play it. And we'll all motor town together and see what kind of hijinks we can get up to. Maybe if I stick my hazard lights on, that will help. There you go. Yeah. Is it helping? Not so much as you'd notice, no. I'm in Colonel Failure. Subscribe for further antics. Cheerio. You might want to get out and push, mate. So there you go. I quite enjoyed that. That was quite good fun. I'd quite like to give it another go. But what I might do is I might run it as a multiplayer session while I'm live streaming on a Saturday or something, and get a few people into all of that business. Anyway, today's outro is a sponsored one. It comes from Nick. And Nick asks, hi, Colonel. Yeah. First of all, thank you very much for your videos. Genuinely enjoy them. Always entertaining and even informative. I try my best not to make them informative, but here we are again. But I really do learn stuff, so thanks. Anyway, as a chap who's worked in the games industry for a few years, can you talk about where it's come from and where you think it's going to be in about 10 years? You and I are of a similar age. We both grew up in the 80s. Probably the most significant decade for home computer or console development ever. I look at stuff I used to play for hours back then, and it seems so basic. Graphics now absolutely blow me away. I don't work in the games industry, so I have no idea what it's like. I'm a sound engineer, entertainment's of a different sort. Flipping love it. I love working in entertainment. Working in entertainment is the best thing ever. Thank you so much. It's also incredibly frustrating, but that's neither here nor there. P.S. I understand if it's too much of a, if it's too big a question to answer. Totally understand. It is a big question, but I've given it some thought, and thanks very much for asking it, because it's a good one. So, at the current time, what's big and happening in the industry at the moment is acquisitions. So between Microsoft picking up my former employers, and then Sony have bought out Bungie, and you've got, every time there's a news article, you've got loads of gamers wailing and gnashing their teeth and going, "Oh no, it's the death of the games industry." No, it's not. The games industry will be absolutely fine. It was, to coin a phrase, ever thus. Acquisitions happen constantly, particularly though around the time of console generation changes or generational changes overall. You only have to go back 20 years to see that, EA are snapping people up left, right and centre, and then other companies are acquiring things, and that's the way it works. Now, people give EA a lot of stick for the companies they picked up around the turn of the century that then were collapsed. Now, there's a reason that they collapsed, and the reason they collapse is because they acquire the company and go, "Hello, we'd like to acquire your company. You make good games. We'd like you to make good games for us." And they go, "Yeah, absolutely." And they go, "Here is the deal is that we will give you this big pile of cash, but you can't have it until you've worked for us for 3 years." At which point, the people in the company go, "Let me just put that in my calendar. Three years, you say? Okay. Set your timer. After 3 years, all of the leads from that company just kind of go, whew, they take the money and they leave. Why would you stick around? And then, if they get a bit bored of being rich and independent, and they kind of go, "You know what? I might start a new game studio." And they do. So all these acquisitions, they're just that's business as usual. But it's a publisher being acquired, and that's quite a big deal. I don't think we've seen the last of it either. I think there's more to come, but it's irrelevant. These things happen. The important people in the important structures in the games industry are the people who come up with the revolutionary and interesting ideas in the first place, because maybe they're a one-hit wonder. Maybe they have other hits up their sleeve. If the team that put Subnautica together get acquired by someone, they'll ride out their period, and maybe they love working for the new organisation and then kick out something else. Or maybe they ride it out, take the money, start something else, make something new. Or maybe the people who worked underneath them and therefore learned a lot, they've got their own ideas. They leave and start up their own stuff because they've now got a bit of capital to do so. Cyclic. It's all very cyclic. So my message on that front would be, don't worry about it. Ideally, be in a company that gets acquired at a high enough position with enough stock in the company that you get to buy a house. Because why not? I wouldn't worry about that. Where's the industry going? The industry's got a problem, and the problem is that in order to stay on the cutting edge of the appearance and scope and breadth of games that are being expected, it's costing a huge amount of money. I imagine when GTA 6 comes out, it might well breach the $1 billion mark to get that out into the wild. It might be a $1 billion project to get that out. I don't know what their aspiration is, except that it's Rockstar and their aspirations are always huge, and then terrifyingly they come fairly close to accomplishing that as well. But who knows? It may not live up to what they've done in the past. It may exceed all expectations. What we do know, or what I would strongly go, yeah, I'm fairly certain of it, is that between 2 and 3 years before you see it, I reckon. I mean, look at something like Cyberpunk, right? Cyberpunk was announced 9 years ago, came out before it was ready because it had to come out. The investors were starting to get itchy feet, and they had to release it, so they released it before it was ready. Now, I played it on a top-notch PC, and I thought it was great, notwithstanding that it had a lot of bugs in it. But I thought it was great. I really, really enjoyed it. It was my favourite game last year to play. But that's the problem that the industry has, is in order to push the quality in terms of visual, audio, gameplay, knit together experience, it's costing ever increasing amounts of money. AAA games are extremely expensive to make. But where things are interested is that in the last 5 years, the tools that are needed to make games have become increasingly democratized. You can go pick up Unreal Engine and noodle around with it and get good, but it's becoming increasingly difficult to make a game that looks anything like the best of the best in anything like a realistic time frame on your own. You need a pool of talented people to help you make the thing. Having a good idea and executing it is fine if that good idea is then going to lead to a 2D. It's okay, you've got some assets that may have been seen elsewhere before, but in order to execute your vision, as it were. The Stardew Valley, I think, is probably a good poster child for this. It's one dude who took multiple years to put it together, but it looks like a game from the mid-90s. There's nothing wrong with that. He delivered a great gameplay experience, and that's the interesting period we find ourselves in, where AAA's become ever more startling in terms of how good they look, how good they sound. But in order to recoup the investment that they've got there, they have to go down a path which is very different to the one that gamers of old grew up with, whereby you get the thing, it works, and that's it. That's the end of it. When people complain about, or they express concern about, DLC or microtransactions or any of this kind of extraneous plug-in bits and pieces that cost money, kind of go, this is to keep the thing going. Your pitch for $100 million to make the game is going to be based on, we expect to do $300 million in sales in the first year, and then another $25-50 million in sales over the same period on additional bits and pieces. Because if you only break even, you go bust. This is where Star Citizen is interesting. Star Citizen is interesting because there's a lot of people a lot of players believe in the vision for Star Citizen, but they are spending money like water. And I mean, they're inching towards a finished something, but the problem is the burn rate of the money that they've been making is enormous. And so when they actually come to release, the people that are most likely to buy it have already bought it. So it will probably hit release, and then the following week they let the entire team go, and then make almost nothing out of the experience. I mean, it remains to be seen, but it's an interesting model in that the funding they've had has only kept them going for the development of the project. Gaming is such a huge topic. All right, let's give you some trends as to what's going to happen in the next 10 years. Firstly, I think you're going to see ever increasing amounts of Game Pass type action, and many of them will go bust or cease to be offered. EA's is the interesting one. EA Access is or EA Play, or whatever they're calling it these days, is the interesting one, because EA holds some very important cards. They hold sports, and that's a very important card. Nobody else has got sports. I think Microsoft might make them an offer they can't refuse with that regard, in terms of, I think Microsoft are prepared to make a loss on buying out Game Pass exclusivity for Xbox and PC. Don't know. but it wouldn't surprise me. Let's put it that way, because Xbox, they're trying to get people into an ecosystem, which makes it very difficult for those people to want to leave that ecosystem. The same as a Spotify subscription. Once you've got one, or a similar service, you are cutting yourself off from all music if you cancel your subscription. And therefore with games, if you stop buying games, which as a PC gamer is less likely because Steam is ubiquitous, and then you've got GOG and you've got Epic and stuff like that, but you are buying ownership. Digital ownership's maybe a little bit not quite the same thing, but if you're getting all of your stuff on subscription, you stop that subscription, you lost all your stuff. Yeah, I don't know how well people are going to take to that. I don't know where it's going to go, but I can see people being ring-fenced into it. This video is edited using the Adobe Creative Suite, which cost me 45 quid a month. If I cancel my subscription, I've just lost all of my editing software. I mean, I don't just use Premiere, which is the video editor. I use Photoshop, and I use Illustrator, and I use Dreamweaver. It's the only reason, and After Effects. And it's the only reason that I subscribe to the package, because I use all of this software. So maybe not in the same balance, but it makes sense. But if you add it up, you kind of go, why don't you just buy the Solus edition and be happy running on something that's 5 years old? It wouldn't be the more sensible thing to do. I digress. So I think you're going to get more. I think the Netflix model is going to become more prevalent, and I think that before too long you'll be struggling to find reasons not to be on Game Pass, and that's the interesting turning point for the industry. Will you still be able to buy independent things all over the place? Of course you will. Of course you will. That's not going out. That's not going out of business anytime soon. What I do expect to see come back though is subscription games, where you subscribe, like in the old days of MMOs, when they started out, you'd pay a monthly subscription and get a lot in exchange for that. The subscription covering the cost of ongoing development and servers and that kind of thing. I think there's an appetite for something that is good. But on the other hand, you've got subscription fatigue that is setting in across all entertainment kind of philosophies. You've got your Amazon Prime and your Netflix and your Apple TV and Disney Plus and Spotify, and maybe you've got Adobe, maybe you've got Game Pass as well. And before you know it, you're paying $150 a month just to keep the status quo, on top of all of the bills that you have to pay, so electricity and internet charges and all that kind of stuff. I think it's almost like we are, as a species, buying into indentured servitude for our entertainment. We're buying into, not only do I have to pay rent and food and electricity and water and gas and telephony, but now I have to subscribe to entertainment at all. It's tricky. It's a tricky one. I think the fatigue is real, and that people are going to be a little bit more careful about what and in what volume they subscribe to. In terms of technology, VR, no, I don't buy it. I don't buy VR at all. I think it's a novelty and will remain a novelty. I mean, you've got plenty of people advocating for it, but what's the problem it's solving? Because great technology, or really good technologies, or ever-present technologies, come out because they solved a problem. Phones that look like this with a with no buttons, why have they come about? Because Steve Jobs went, how can I have a flipping great screen without needing a flipping great keyboard underneath it, so it's not a house brick? And a clever designer said, what if the screen was the keyboard? Solves a problem. And that's the thing. Great technology always solves a problem. I still think that AR, augmented reality, whereby you can see the world, but also your digital display in a pair of glasses, I think that's the champion. Why do I think it's the champion? Quite straightforward. Is that the number of people who wear spectacles or any other, sunglasses, anything you like, on their eyes, and then look at a screen on their telephone, What if you no longer needed the telephone? Now, you're not going to wear some sense deprivation magic science helmet while you're out in public, but wearing a pair of spectacles that gives you a heads-up display that makes it look like there's a ruddy great monitor on the wall and you're reading stuff. Add some gesture controls, or turn this processing unit, turn that into some kind of joystick handset kind of thing that you strap onto your wrist, or I don't know, any manner of an interface, whatever that may be. Have that as the base unit, broadcast it all via Bluetooth or a Bluetooth 6 to a headset that has got much better battery, and you're off. I mean, on the subject of batteries, the evolution of batteries it's coming. It's very, 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 very close. Graphene, the addition of graphene to existing batteries is it's a revolution. For example, you could take a smartphone battery and correctly infuse graphene with it, and the charge that it will carry is much higher. It's also much bigger, so you can store a heck of a lot more power in there. The charging speeds are faster, and the upshot is your existing smartphone runs for a month on one charge using the same amount of usage you've got now. Now, if the internet has taught us anything, what will just happen is they'll make smartphones use more power by having it tied into more stuff all the time. Well, that's inevitable. But battery technology, graphene batteries are already a thing that works. The main problem with graphene at the moment is because it doesn't break down in nature. They have to figure out what happens if we stick this in the food chain, because it will get in the food chain. It's like you can infuse rubber, vulcanized rubber with graphene to create road tires for your car that will do 100,000 miles before needing replacing. The problem you then have is, well, those tires are shedding little bits all the time, so they're shedding tiny bits of graphene and rubber, and that will get into the food chain. Teflon got into the food chain, and 15, 20 years later, there's a massive spike in cancers that are coming out in people's digestive systems. Is that cause and effect, or is that just a coincidence? I don't know, but I know which I'd put money on. And Teflon originally was designed to keep tanks from rusting by making water run off it very easily. And then we stick it on saucepans, and then we cook food in the saucepans, and then little bits of graphene get into your food. Like, it's not good for you, is it? But that's the nature of technology. How are games going to evolve? I think that we're going to continue to see an evolution of games. I think another revolution that's going to happen is in terms of performance capture. If you look at deepfakes, where you've got President Obama, and not only is his performance, so what is his mouth flapping away and whatever, and how he's moving, not only is that faked, but also the words that he's saying are simulated, because AI can now replicate based off recordings of someone's speech and their speech patterns. They can now replicate perfectly good based off a written script, perfectly well off a written script. And I mean, we're entering an age where you also cannot believe anything you see, and that's terrifying. All of the crapola that happens in the world at the moment, the polarization politically between far left and far right, is purely as a result of people deciding, I don't need to believe that because I've got someone over here telling me something different, and that suits my story far better than what that person over there is telling me. Are either of them true? I know, I'm not the arbitrator of truth. I know what I choose to believe, and I know what other people choose to believe, and sometimes those are directly at odds. But this just polarizes society. But when you're already in a place where we're in the information wars. That's what's happening, is that information is being put out by people with zero expertise or with a separate agenda that they've pushed. Keep your eye open for hate clicks. Increasing numbers of media outlets now are putting out stuff with headlines purely off the basis of you're going to violently disagree or you're going to be outraged by this headline, and that will generate a click. It's the new clickbait, is a headline that you kind of go, well, that's wrong, click. Someone is wrong on the internet. Remember that cartoon? That's where we live. But when you can adequately fake just about anybody at all, both voice and appearance, and it, for all intents and purposes, it looks like video, well, you can't believe anything. You can only from that point on believe what you in the real world, and even then we're not far off robots being realistic enough that you won't be able to believe that either. Which is, it's why I like cyberpunk, because or it's I like it because of the dystopian nature of it, and because actually I see it as being relatively prophetic. In terms of where that deep fakery comes into games, I think you're going to get photorealistic games, and I think you'll hire the estate of, choose someone at random, Marilyn Monroe, and have Marilyn Monroe starring in your game, and a perfect facsimile of Marilyn Monroe is in your game, or JFK, or why have you associated JFK with Marilyn Monroe? I think they're associated with each other, personally, based on what I've read. But any deceased superstar could be resurrected in a game. Any existing star who just kind of goes, yeah, I'll be in your game, but I'm not going to do any work. And I go, no, that's all right. We'll create a facsimile. And graphics processing is certainly getting up to that point. But I think that as much as graphics are swerving in the direction of photorealism, I think at the same time they're going to swerve in the direction of the fantastical and things that you just can't see in the real world. All right, I'll touch on one more thing. This has already been longer than I intended. I'll touch on one more thing, and that is loot boxes. All right. Twofold, right? Loot boxes are not inherently bad, but the execution of loot boxes has been pretty bad pretty universally. Originally, they came around in order to make a little bit of money out of a free-to-play game. All right, okay, there's some validation that goes on in there, but everyone got greedy. Everyone got greedy. And when you're putting out a full price game and then you've got loot boxes in there as well, I would suggest maybe that's very greedy. Car Mechanic Simulator. I've been playing a lot of that recently, and when you complete a big job, a story job, it gives you a loot box for free. It's just part of the game, and it just gives you 2 out of 5 rewards at random. And you kind of go, that's all right. Yeah, I mean, there is that moment if you click the thing and you see what you get. If they were to offer them a paid rate, so buy 50 loot boxes for a tenner or something like that, I'd give it a hard pass, because I don't need it. Are they going to be banned? Yeah, they are. Just give it time, they'll be banned. The thing is, while people are still buying them, there's no impetus on the company making them to stop making them. Are they? They're shameless, that's the thing, and they're joyless as well. While there is a frisson of excitement while you open one, that in order to flog them to you in the first place, they have to bombard you with commercial all the time, of just hit you in the face with like, hey, you, buy something, go on, buy something new. You kind of go, I already bought your game, mate, is that not enough anymore? And they kind of go, game cost 250 million quid, we've got to try and make the money back, so buy something. And that's interesting, because it will either become increasingly prevalent across the board, whereby you'll reach a point where advertising additional services is a rarity and almost everybody is doing it all the time, or the backlash will be such that it just doesn't happen anymore. But that depends which way gaming goes. I can see a realistic future where you don't buy a PC anymore, you buy an Xbox, because you can do all your PC type stuff on there, and you can do it at a third the cost with every bit as much of the power. Is home PC building going to disappear? No, of course it isn't. There's plenty of people out there that will still build their own, but there's going to become increasingly compelling reasons to just go buy the box that does it all. If the box breaks, you get in touch with Microsoft, who you are subscribed to, obviously, and they'll say, we'll have your new one out with you in half an hour as a drone arrives at your doorstep with a replacement. And it's already preloaded with all of the data that you need, because you just plumb your account in and off you trot. It's interesting because it's the commercial and the entertainment side are in flux at the moment. The expense and the acquisitions and all of that kind of business, it's going to lead it in an interesting direction. But there will always be indies. There will always be indies. And the better the tools get to create your vision in a game, the better the end result. The game I played just now, this Motor Town, perfect example. It's a nice indie game. Does it look like the latest and greatest? No. Is it fun? Yeah. Yeah, it is fun. I enjoy playing it. I quite fancy playing a bit more. And that's where games are going to go. As well as going forwards in terms of the technology behind them, they're going to go backwards a little bit. But hopefully there are fresh creative minds aplenty out there to try and create something new and interesting. And this is an experience I've not had before, and that's a joy. The problem with old gamers, of course, is you've experienced so much already. People saying Call of Duty is no good anymore. I'm not here to defend Call of Duty. What I'm here to say is that how many of them have you played? You played 5, 6, 7, 8. For how long do you expect it to remain fresh and new? After you've played half a dozen of them, do you really expect it to feel as good as that first time you played it? And that's the problem with franchises is that they have to stay true to their core, because otherwise it's not that game anymore. But for a veteran player, do you really expect it to be that different? That they've got a format, they've got a formula, and it works for them. And at some point you're going to kind of go, you know what? I fancy something different. You might like cheesecake. And you eat cheesecake at every opportunity. And when you decide to go onto the 100% cheesecake diet, for the first few days, it's brilliant. After 5 or 6 days, you go, you know what I want? I want a tomato. Yeah, you can't have a tomato, though, because all there is cheesecake. The future of gaming. All there is cheesecake. I touched on a lot of subjects there, and didn't cover any of them particularly well, and some of you are going to disagree. One last closing thought. NFTs. Don't worry about it. It's not going to impact you. It's not going to affect anything at all. Don't worry about it. Just relax. The only people getting hot and bothered about them at the moment are crypto bros. They're the ones pushing it. Everybody arguing against it. They don't know what they're arguing against, other than this sounds like a way they want to get more money out of me, and I'm against that. If you really want the best gaming experience of all time ever, then you want a PlayStation 2. If you don't want to pay for anything else ever, and it mostly just works as soon as you slap the disc in. Ever since the internet came along, the gaming world has gotten worse. And yet, the games that have been presented to us are better than they've ever been. I'd quite like a remake of SSX Tricky, though. Thanks very much for watching. Nick, great question. Rambling answer. What more did you expect? Cheerio.